Right, so in just a moment, you are going to be taking your assessment for Lift Every Voice and Sing. But first, you're going to go through this language dive, just taking a closer look at some of the figurative language that is used in the lyrics of this song. So we're going to be looking specifically at lines 20 through 22. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. So first, let's look at just the chunks here. Each line, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. And on your quiz, question number 1 asks, which of the following correctly paraphrases the chunks of the lines? So when you're paraphrasing, you're not trying to interpret meaning. You're really just trying to say the same thing, but with different words. So let's look at that first chunk, out from the gloomy past. In other words, we have left our sad past. Till now we stand at last. In other words, after a long time, we are here, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. In other words, in a place that is light. We have left our sad past. After a long time, we are here in a place that is light. So paraphrasing is not trying to interpret meaning. I'm not trying to interpret what the words mean. I'm really just trying to say them in a different way, in different words, or in other words. Now let's look specifically at this chunk, out from the gloomy past. What does the word out mean in this chunk? Well, out from, so it implies that I was in, but now I'm out. So I'm moving out from the gloomy past. Does it connect to another line in the song? If you look at the lines that come before in the context of this, the lines that come before talk about the past that African Americans have experienced. And then this is saying that they've come out from that past. What have they come out from? Well, let's look at what it says. Out from the gloomy past. So I'm looking at the words gloomy past. So those words help me figure out that they have come out from a very troublesome time in history. And specifically, they're talking about slavery and how they've come out of that gloomy past of slavery. Let's look at the next chunk. Till now we stand at last. What does the word till tell us? So this is a way of saying until, but because it's a poem or a song, they use it a little bit differently to make it fit into the rhythm. So until now we stand at last. So that signals some time here. So previously it said out from the gloomy past until now. So we've got a signal of time here, moving from past to present. Who does the word we refer to? Till now we stand at last. So we is referring to the speakers of the selection. And in the context of this song or this poem, we refers to African Americans. So that's the we in this poem. What does this chunk tell us? Is the meaning of this chunk literal or figurative? So they are not literally standing. So it is figurative. So now I want to think about if they're not literally standing, well, what does that mean? Standing is used to signal hope, or they are standing up against a bully. They're not standing up against anyone. It signals hope. So they are coming out from this gloomy past, and now they're standing, and this standing represents or signals hope. Let's look at the next chunk, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. Well, what does this chunk tell us? It has to do with light. So think about the word cast. What does the word cast mean? Where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. So think about a light. like a star or a spotlight, or when you turn a lamp on in a room. When you turn on a light, it casts out light. So this is saying where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. So it's light, okay? Where is the light that is cast coming from? What words help you figure this out? Well, if I look at it, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. So the light is coming from their bright star. The white gleam of our bright star is cast. So keep in mind that our is referring to African Americans, the speakers in the poem. The light is coming from that star. So now let's think about what this chunk means. Are the speakers in the song literally standing where the white gleam of a bright star is cast? No, there's not literally light. They're not literally standing in a spotlight. That's not literal here. So instead, let's think about how can we interpret this sentence figuratively. Let's think about what light symbolizes. Earlier in the poem, they refer to the past as dark, out from the gloomy past. And earlier in the lyrics, they also refer to the past as dark. So they use dark to symbolize the past. They're using light to symbolize the present or the future. Till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. So the light is being used figuratively. They're not literally standing in the light. The light is being used to symbolize their hope and their future. So now let's take a look at how we can say these lines in a more literal way. So we know that it's figurative language. So now we're getting into that interpreting. Now we're not looking at what the text says, we're looking at what the text means. We're trying to figure out what it means. So what is really happening here in the context of this poem? Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. Let's look at your answer choices for question 5. Finally, after coming out from dark times, the speakers in the poem have a sense of hope for a new beginning and a bright future. So keep in mind what that figurative language means. It means hope. So that would be your correct answer. Now let's think about how do these lines help us understand a theme of this song. So if we know the figurative language means hope, that's also going to connect to the theme. So look at your answer choices for question 6 and choose the answer choice that has to do with hope, with strength. And then finally, look at that module guiding question. So this topic of this whole module is the Harlem Renaissance. So one of the questions that you're trying to answer as readers is what are some of the historical factors surrounding and contributing to the Harlem Renaissance? What are some of the historical factors? So what are some things about history that we need to know contributed to the Harlem Renaissance? So think about what you learned from this language dive. How does this language dive you just completed add to your understanding of this question? I'm beginning to think, now I understand why, I'm changing my mind about. Follow through with answering that last question and click submit. And then while you're taking your test today, keep in mind what we did to interpret figurative language. There's more examples of figurative language in this poem, and you're going to be asked to talk about those and answer questions about those in your test. So keep in mind what you need to do to interpret figurative language.